in the beginning was the persecution in my life. You know, this is a sort of biological beginning in my life, which is very important in speaking about your mental structure or the structure of your soul. In my genes, the persecution is there, but I'm speaking about the persecution as about a blessing, because the persecution is there, which means that the thirstiness of freedom is there also, and this is fantastic. In other words, I was not 2 years old when I was judged sentenced to a prison camp. And I have an official paper being sentenced at this age. I'm a little bit proud to be sentenced when I was 2 years old. I was very dangerous for the communist regime. And we were followed continuously by the secret police. I can see now on those files photographies. It's very funny to me now what happened in their point of view. You know, in these days I'm visiting my father weekly, and my father got back the files of the secret police. It's about 6,000 pages. It's fantastic to see these files. And reading the files, I recognize our persecutors. And they are, among them were ministers, reform ministers. They wanted to save the Hungarian Reformed Church by persecuting Reformed pastors. It's interesting. You know, someone who is sentenced for 22 years. It's not real in a communist prison, which is something very special. I visited those prisons when I did the film with my father, and I put him in his cell. I made a documentary for the Hungarian television about it, and it was interesting to see. It was for me much more. It was a real drama for me to realize that everything was much more harder than he told us. Unimaginable harder than I could imagine for him without us and in those situations. And also my mother had this gift of honesty in wrestling with God. This is her story of going through death and coming back, because he could not accept the suffering of her children. He told God that I accept my suffering and the suffering of my husband, but those sparrows here, what about those sparrows? And then she had to accept, you know, the gift of seeing suffering your kids, which is unbelievable to imagine. For me also, you know, because I have children. It's unbelievable to imagine what does it mean to see daily your kids on the door of the death, and to tell God that it's okay. You are there. You are among us. It's your story. It's not my story. She was in this respect great. It was fantastic to not to accept in a very easy way this suffering. In this way, they are not heroes, you know what I mean. I cannot imagine them heroes, that I accept this suffering from one. It's not true. You cannot do this. You can't do this. You know, a revolution is fantastic. You know, just to feel that you are free to die in that very moment, it's fantastic. You know, it's great. You know, because the revolution means that you feel something from the eternity. If you are ready to die, it's the feeling of eternity, because it's not natural to be ready to die. Just feeling this, it's there something in an unconscious way, maybe.